I used to stare at the cracked ceiling of our small apartment every night, wondering if Lily deserved better. At 10 years old, she was cheerful, imaginative, always drawing, always laughing, though I couldn't help but wonder if some of that laughter masked quiet disappointments. We didn't have much. I worked as a warehouse supervisor, clocking in long shifts and aching through most evenings. The paycheck covered rent, groceries, a bit of gas, and not much else. Every time I passed by the bigger houses on our block, the ones with trampolines in the backyard, fancy SUVs in the driveway, I felt this heavy weight settle in my chest. I imagined Lily looking through the fence at those kids and thinking, why not us? Her birthday was the hardest. I saved for weeks, but when the day came, all I could afford was a small cake, a simple sketchbook, and some colored pencils. No party, no shiny balloons, no stack of gifts. I tried to smile when I handed them to her, hiding the guilt like a stain under a fresh shirt. But Lily beamed. She hugged me tight, told me she loved it, and started sketching the moment we finished our cake slices. Still, even in that moment, part of me was watching the door, expecting judgment to barge in. I thought happiness came with more money, more stuff, more proof that I was enough as a father. Then there were those comparisons. Parents at school pickup, pulling up in new cars, talking about trips and gadgets. I felt small, like a shadow slipping around their conversations. I'd nod politely, but inside, I was shrinking, questioning every decision that led me to this modest life. Was I doing enough? Was I failing her? One evening, after another long day, I saw Lily sitting outside on the steps talking to Mr. Lyle, our elderly neighbor. He was always out there, sipping tea from a chipped mug, dressed in old clothes, smiling like the world hadn't passed him by. He didn't have much. His furniture was old, his TV barely worked, but he always seemed content. I walked over just to say hi, but something about his calm presence made me linger. He was telling Lily a story from his childhood, about playing with sticks and stones, inventing games under the sun, sharing bread with neighbors when food was scarce. She laughed, eyes wide, completely engaged. No screen, no toy, just a story and a smile. That night, I sat quietly by her bedside, watching her fall asleep with her sketchbook resting on her chest. I wondered if I'd been missing something, not in our apartment, but in my thinking. A few days later, I ran into Mr. Lyle again. He was struggling with a heavy bag of groceries, so I offered to help. As we walked slowly back to his apartment, he said something that stuck with me. When I had the most stuff, I was the most miserable. When I had just enough, I started noticing the sunrise. That line sat with me like a warm ember in my chest. I thought about it as I looked around our place that evening. It wasn't much. Second-hand furniture, peeling paint, a kitchen that always seemed a little too small. But it was warm, clean, and filled with Lily's laughter. And suddenly, I saw it differently. Not as a failure, but as a quiet kind of success. Inspired, I began spending more intentional time with Lily. Instead of rushing to make up for what we didn't have, I slowed down. We started having Sunday mornings just for pancakes and made up songs in the kitchen. Evenings became drawing contests. Bedtime became storytelling hour. We didn't go out much, but our world felt bigger somehow. One day, I found Lily drawing a picture of our living room. The worn couch, the small window, the two of us playing cards on the floor. Above it, she wrote, "Home is where smiles live." I stared at that drawing for a long time, and I cried. But for the first time, they weren't tears of guilt. They were tears of release. I stopped comparing, stopped peeking over the fence at other people's lives. I started seeing wealth in Lily's eyes when she looked at me, not in what I could or couldn't buy her. Mr. Lyle became a part of our routine. He'd tell us stories, bring over old board games, and share what little he had. Once he gave Lily a toy from his childhood, a wooden duck with wheels. She treated it like treasure. That's when I truly understood. The value of something isn't in its price, but in the love that surrounds it. Months passed. I hadn't gotten a raise, hadn't moved to a bigger apartment, hadn't changed jobs. But I felt lighter, happier, more complete. The quiet moments had become louder in meaning. I was still a single father with limitations, but now I was enough. In love, we often search for something grand to prove it exists. A better house, a gift, a sacrifice. But sometimes, love whispers instead of shouting. It makes pancakes with extra syrup, listens to bedtime ramblings, and hugs you when you're too tired to speak. True happiness isn't found in what we lack, but in what we choose to see and share. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more human stories that matter.